This is the 6 o'clock news with Alexander and Charlie. Today, Alex will be asking me a series of questions about the laws of motion.
Alright, Charlie, can you explain to me how the Newton's first law, what it does?
What it does exactly? Or how it affects an object?
Yes.
Sure. I will be using the chalkboard for most of my demonstrations and displays. Let's say we've got a car traveling down the street. Here's the car. This car let's say it's going 30 miles an hour down the street. It's going to keep going that way until it's acted on by an unbalanced force. The unbalanced force, let's say it's a tree. There's the tree. This tree, let's say that this car hits that tree. This tree would win the battle because this tree is the unbalanced force and it has more mass than the car.
Alright. Well, how about Newton's second law then?
Okay, Newton's second law is basically the opposite. It states that an unbalanced force acting on an object will cause the object to accelerate in the direction of the unbalanced force. All it's really trying to say is an object at rest stays at rest.
Okay.
So let's say we've got a baseball sitting on a table. This ball is not going to move until acted on by an unbalanced force. The unbalanced force, let's say, is another ball rolling down the table. This ball is going to cause this ball to move, causing it to move. So that's what this law is trying to explain. An object at rest stays at rest until acted on by an unbalanced force. The unbalanced force being the ball rolling and hitting the baseball at rest.
Alright. How about gravity? Can you explain gravity to me?
Gravity is very simple. Gravity is what holds us on Earth, basically. If we didn't have gravity, we would be able to float around. And actually, the moon does have gravity. They just have less gravity than what the Earth does. So let's say a ball is thrown through the air. It will fly, but eventually it's going to hit the ground because of gravity. Gravity is stronger than the momentum of the ball. And gravitational force on Earth is 9.8 meters per second squared.
Alright. Well then, can you explain a projectile's motion?
This is trying to say that a projectile's motion is independent between the horizontal and the vertical motion of it. So we've got a ball flying horizontally. It's not going vertically, it's going horizontally. This law states that a ball flying horizontally has nothing to do with the vertical law of motion. The ball is coming down this way, it has to do with the vertical law of motion, not the horizontal law of motion. That's why they're independent.
Alright. Well, how about centripetal force then?
Centripetal force is the force that causes a moving object to follow a circular path. So, as you can see here, we've got an object attached to this string using a rubber band. Centripetal force is the rubber band being swung in a circle, and the object is being followed in that circle because of the centripetal force. That's what that causes.
Okay, great. Well then, can you explain Newton's third law?
Newton's third law simply states that every action has a reaction force.
Right.
So let's say we've got a fisherman in a boat. He is a few feet from shore, and here's the land, and the boat is right here. He thinks that he can jump to land, but instead of making the land, he lands in the water. This is because this boat is not on something solid. It's still floating. So when he jumps, his motion isn't going forward. The beginning is actually pushing the boat backwards, causing the boat to slide out from under him and for him to go in the water.
Okay. Well then, how can you confirm this with the law of conservation of momentum?
Simple. The law of conservation of momentum basically states that the total amount of momentum in a system does not change unless outside forces act on the system.
Okay.
Basically, it's kind of like gravity. This ball is flying through the sky. The outside forces being gravity, which is the gravity, and maybe wind blowing also. It's going to cause the ball to go down, basically. That's the law of conservation of momentum. It's the outside forces acting on the system being the baseball. So that's it, basically.